Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I have a lot of respect for. I do. Maybe 2 years ago, I sort of noticed something, and at that time she didn't say anything about Israel, or there was something that she didn't talk about, and at that point, I dismissed her as a fake conservative. But in recent months, for sure, she has revealed herself to be a genuine nationalist and patriot. And I don't think it matters whether you define her as right wing or not. I think that's unimportant. She's America first. She recognizes that Israel has got too much influence on US policy, that Israel is directing American policies, whether it's BLM, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's open borders. Because don't forget, and it's a fact that has to be accepted, that Israel is the beneficiary of open borders because they want to trick American conservatives into supporting Israel because, oh, you don't like Muslims, right? But who created America's enemies in the first place? America's enemies were placed there by Israel so that the American public would be tricked into thinking that Muslims are their enemy. Open borders are very, very bad. We need to we need to protect our national identity. We need to protect it. At the moment in London is a multicultural, multi-ethnic, it's like a sort of larger version of Heathrow Airport. And that's not good. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a someone who calls out issues on their own respective merits. There's absolutely no doubt that Donald Trump is compromised by Israel and by the connection with Epstein. And the fact that the mass media constantly ignore Epstein being Jewish or being Israeli agent. He wasn't a financier, that was a cover. His job was to act as a playboy, and because people want to have fun. I mean, if I was an ignorant person or if I was a corrupt person, a lot of people go into politics just to be successful. And if you want to be successful, you can support Israel. Israel will make sure you get a lot of money. What Israel does is they get billions of dollars from America and Germany and other countries, and then they use a percentage of that money to fund politicians in America that will promote their interests. America first should mean America first and only. The Jewish percentage, the Jewish Zionist percentage in America is very small, but there is a significant and very deluded Christian Zionist, so-called Christians, who support Israel based upon the fact that they've been told that Jews are God's chosen people. Well, God would love everyone equally, and God would not even have a religion. I mean, if there is a God, it's just God. Don't give it a name. It's not Catholic, it's not Muslim, it's not Hindu, it's not Jewish, it's not Buddhist, right? If there is a God, that it cannot be, and God would not have chosen Netanyahu, that's for sure. Well, maybe the devil would. Maybe God is the devil. If the God is the devil, then maybe the Zionist Jews are. But Zionists, most Zionists are atheists. They don't even believe in God. So how can people who don't believe in God, how can they claim that God gave them something? And another thing is that most people who've looked into the issue, i.e. very few, will realise that the Jewish people, or most of the Jews who live in what is now called Israel, are ethnically European. They are Khazars, and according to my research, the Khazars were converted to Judaism simply because the leader of that tribe had to give them some sort of religion. in much the way as the Russian Tsar was looking for a religion to give his subjects, and he decided on Christianity because he knew the Russians liked drinking too much that they wouldn't accept Muslims. So that's probably why. Religion is a tool of control, and Judaism is the fig leaf which secular Jews use to hide. And they could always say anti Semitism. And of course, many Jews, ignorant Jews, actually believe the lies they've been told. Little children are taught that they're hated not because they're bad people or they do wrong things, but simply because they're Jews and it's awfully unfair. And many people who are not Jewish have come to believe this lie, in much the same way as most German people believe the official story of the Holocaust, which is completely untrue. Right? I'm partly Jewish myself, I should say. I mean, I really wish I wasn't, but I do believe that Jewish people have a sort of cunning, which can be used for good. So, in other words, just because you're Jewish or partly Jewish, it doesn't mean you can't be a good person. Because, as a matter of fact, there are many prominent Jews in the anti-Zionist movement. People like Norman Finkelstein, people like not him, people like Max Blumenthal, people like Glenn Greenwald. Very intelligent people. Brother Nathaniel was born Jewish. He's somewhat eccentric, but he's very articulate. He was born Jewish, and he warns about he calls them a collective. Basically, the Zionist Jews are a kind of enormous and incredibly well connected Freemasonry outfit. They're a collective. They work together as a team. They promote each other. They give each other jobs. They make sure that everyone's well funded, and they will reward goys for going along with their agenda. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene has resigned, and the reason for that is she said basically that it's absolutely impossible for her to work, to do her job, because she's not being allowed to do her job. She's being forced and threatened to go along with official policies. For example, the Epstein files. Now, I have to say that the Epstein files, if they are ever released, will be heavily redacted. They will not be released in their entirety. And they could even be falsified, right? They could even rewrite the Epstein files to maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're going to put her in as going to Epstein Island and all the rest of it. Don't put it past them. Everything about our world is falsified, right? But I think it's quite likely that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a good person and has the best interest of her. She's a representative, and I think she's done her very best to represent the American people. One of very few. And I remember, during the Gulf War, I think only like one U.S. senator stood up against that. There is one other American politician who will probably be removed, Thomas Massey of Kentucky, and there's Rand Paul, who's not bad. But in America, it's really career suicide to oppose Israel. And if you continue to oppose Israel, you might end up being killed, and the media will report it as a suicide. It's very, one of the most common methods of assassinating people is to pretend that they did it themselves, which is why a lot of people say, I'm not feeling suicidal. And this is how you try to warn people that if anything does happen to you, you were murdered, right? Lots of people who've got in the way of these people have been removed, especially if you're high profile like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene she did her best to support Trump, and she gave him a lot of support. As she said, loyalty is a two-way street. Trump is criticizing her because Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't want US dollars going to Israel. America's already given Israel enormous money. And frankly, every single war America's been involved in the Middle East has been created by Israel. So it's not just the money America gives to Israel, it's all the money America gives to other countries in the region who are doing America's bidding, like Jordan, like Egypt, and the military support that America gives to countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and so on. And of course, if you know your history, you'll know that Hamas was actually created by Israel. They created it because the PLO was too secular. They wanted to manufacture a sort of bogeyman type outfit that they could then accuse of being committed to Israel's destruction. Because Israel always accuses others of what they do themselves. I mean, Ehud Barak, the ex-prime minister of Israel, admitted on television that not that the media took any interest, that Israel built the tunnels under the hospital, and then they were blaming Hamas for that. What a joke. So I don't know. I mean, you should look at this video for yourself. It is absolutely outrageous that alternative views cannot be accepted. 90%, it's more than that. 90% of politicians in the West are completely and utterly corrupt, and the ones who are not completely and utterly corrupt will be marginalised, ridiculed, demonetised, demoted. The media are going along with this. Why do you think? And another thing is that, you know, for example, when the BBC are caught out, they're trying to make Trump seem like a victim. So I think, in a way, the BBC designed that. They deliberately framed Trump by putting words into his mouth, which isn't what they should be doing, right? In order to make him seem like a victim, and so to make it seem like Trump's an outsider. But Trump is definitely controlled opposition. I mean, he's surrounded by Zionists. His children are married to Jews, Zionist Jews. His Middle East advisors are always Jews. And the non-Jews are all like Freemasons, Freemasons act as, it's a crime network, Freemasonry, 100% a crime network. It's blue-collar crime. They have people who are like fire brigade chiefs, military people, police chiefs in particular, and so on, who do a lot for charity. I'd be very surprised, I don't know this for a fact, but I would imagine Jimmy Savile must have been a Freemason. He was a Zionist. I mean, he was a friend of Israel. He was an esteemed friend of Israel. But once he became outed as a predatory pervert, the Israel links were basically removed, especially the fact that he was an esteemed friend of Israel, because for some reason they can rewrite history. That's the beauty of Wikipedia. You know, if as long as Savile is a highly regarded, public-spirited charity worker, Israel is proud to identify with him. But if Savile, and of course, let's not pretend that the mass media didn't know that Jimmy Savile was I mean, I don't know what a pervert is anyway. I mean, having a sexual interest isn't perversion. It's human nature. I honestly wish I could get some nookie. I'm not getting any at the moment, that's for sure. But it's difficult to meet. I mean, I'm getting old now, so, and then poor, and also I'm unsuccessful. So if you're old, poor, unsuccessful, and I'm just average looking, I'm not ugly, but I'm average looking. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna get a job as a Chipperfield or something. So, you know, I don't have a lot going for me apart from being bloody intelligent and incredibly articulate. But that doesn't count for anything, because people only want monetized intelligence. If you can make money from being intelligent, people respect you for that. If people were paying for my opinions, people would respect me. If people only want paid opinions, if you were to try and give your friend some free advice, he would much rather go and pay for worse advice rather than the free advice, because people assume that if you're not paying for it, it's not of any value. That's the problem we face. I don't know. It is shocking, isn't it? I mean, I'd probably get more hits if I try to monetize my channel, because people will think, well, it must be worth listening to if I'm paying for it. But if you offer something for free, you don't get respected. That's the problem. So I do like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's doing the right thing, because in reality, there is nothing she can do. They're not going to listen to her. It's up to individual people. We need independent people. What Marjorie Taylor Greene should do is work as an independent. And there should be more independent people. Independent, not part of the political machine. But how is that going to happen? Our whole system is rigged. Thank you for your time.